We're gonna start this one. So right now we're doing transcultural. So everything is gonna be a cross-cultural menu between Filipino and Latin American cuisine. So, but for the first few bites, we're gonna present our roots, which is straightforward Latin American dishes. And throughout the course of the menu, Filipino and Latin American is gonna be intertwined together. So for this one, on the side, we have yellow balls. They are called infladita. So infladita translates as inflated. Basically, it's a bloated masa tortilla. It's made out of nixtamalized corn. We stuffed it in with smoked mushrooms using our parrilla grill. Then the trimmings of those mushrooms, we created mushroom soil for the crunch, not just for the garnish. And it's sitting on top of flor de jamaica. Flor de jamaica is the Mexican hibiscus that we get all the way from Mexico. It's there for the aroma. It's edible, but I wouldn't eat it because you have to hydrate it. So you can take the yellow ball thing and then eat it in one shot. Because it's injected with a bunch of fungus flavors. And then this one, it's pão de queijo. Pão de queijo in Brazil is their cheese bread. So it's equally as important as pan de salto as Filipinos because it's their house bread in Brazil, and you would see it on every Brazilian household. The reason why it's color gray is because there's huitlacoche. Huitlacoche is a corn smut that grows on old corn. So when the corn grows old, it forms this type of fungus. We have a lot of them in the northern part of the Philippines, particularly in the Cordilleran region. But Filipinos are uneducated about the ingredients, so we just throw it away. But in Mexico, it's widely regarded as a Mexican truffle. It's considered as a luxury ingredient. So it's there. There's also quesillo cheese on top. No. It's within the bread. That's why the pão de queijo is color gray. Normally, the traditional pão de queijo is color yellow because it's just cheese bread. So for our version, it's color gray because it's blended with lacoche. So what's on top is quesillo cheese and then shaved winter truffle. I would start with the infladita, then finish off with the pão de queijo. So it's sitting on top of a mushroom-like vessel because this course is all fungus.
Nice.
That's great.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
It is cooked over wood fire. In that sense, it's also kinilaw because we cured it with leche tigre. Leche tigre is the Peruvian tiger's milk out of fresh white fish, coconut, and lime. It's sitting on top of burning wood with sea grapes for the essence. And then our leche tigre, for the Filipino inspiration, the base is actually made out of Yakult, apart from the fresh white fish. So I literally grew up drinking a lot of Yakult, like at least once a day. So the dish is inspired by that one. There's mango, cornic. Cornic because it's a Filipino counterpart of canchitas, which they put a lot in Peru. They put a lot of canchitas on their ceviche. It's their corn nut. So the Filipino counterpart is cornic. That is what we have in Filipino cuisine. And then the one in the middle is our version of dinuguan. Dinuguan is the Filipino pork blood stew. So it's also a kinilaw dish because we stuffed it in with sinuglaw. So sinuglaw is the kinilaw variety that is mixed between raw fish and grilled pork. So what we did, we made cups out of pork blood. We stuffed it in with smoked pork, tanige fish, cured in a vinaigrette out of the flavors of dinuguan. Then there's ají amarillo in the mix. Ají amarillo is the yellow chili that we get all the way from Peru. What's on top is potato and ikura. Ikura is a salmon roll. So I would hold the oyster here because it's a bit hot in the middle.
Okay.
I would hold it on the side.
Okay.
Do it first, then do the dinuguan after. Dinuguan is eaten in one bite, just like one shot, and then it's gonna explode.
Okay.
Gracias.
This one.
For this one, just like a normal oyster. Yeah.
Okay.
There's a teaspoon
This is for the oyster.
for the oyster.
Thank you so much.
Alright, so we have here a couple of dishes. Both are crossovers of their own. First, we're gonna start with what's on the chest. It's called Okoy Tostada. So it's a crossover between Filipino and Mexican cuisine. Tostada is a crispy variety of taco. So for the vessel of the tostada, we chose to get the inspiration of okoy. So okoy in Filipino cuisine is a baby shrimp fritter. So for our okoy, we made it using kalkag. Kalkag is a sourced out baby prawn all the way from Iloilo. We dried it, we toasted it. We also mixed it up with flax and pumpkin seeds for the earthy tones and to add more earthy crunch on the dish. So if you think about it, this is a more healthier version of okoy since it's being mocked as a parang source ng high blood in Filipino cuisine yung okoy. So we took the challenge to turn it into something healthy. So what's on top is crab dressed in smoked mussel cream. So we smoked the mussels. We made a sauce out of it to flavor the crab. So in one bite, you're going to be eating 3 types of seafood. There's prawn, crab, and mussels. Then it's finished off with a warm salad out of squash and carrots cooked over hot coals. dressed in sinamak vinaigrette. Sinamak is a special vinegar blend in Filipino cuisine. Okoy is always dipped in vinegar. So the reason why we finish it off with that component, so you wouldn't have to dip the okoy in vinegar. Then the other one, the odd-looking ball, a lot of girls has been telling me that they look like beauty blender.
Oh yeah, they do.
Oh, I
It's
can see
odd.
that.
But actually, this is called coxinha. So this is a crossover between Filipino and Brazilian cuisine. In Brazil, they have their own version of chicken croquette, much like a chicken nugget, but it's always shaped like a teardrop. That's why it looks like this. It's more of an afternoon snack in Brazil. A lot of kids eat it during the afternoon. But the Filipino inspiration comes from what's inside. There's chicken pianggang stuffed within our coxinha. Chicken pianggang is a chicken stew dish from the Tausug tribe in the Mindanao region. So they make a condiment called pamapaitum. It's basically made out of smoked coconut. They turn the smoked coconut into a paste, much like a curry. But for us, for our approach, we made a dough out of the pamapaitum. We made a dough out of smoked coconut. We stuffed the chicken stew inside. The outside is crusted with smoked coconut as well. That's why the color is dark. So I would start with the okoy tostada, then do the pianggang coxinha after.
Thank you, Chef.
Thank you. Here, this is gonna seal off our appetizers. Later on, we're gonna go to desserts and then do the main courses. What's
Desserts before main courses?
It's the entremet. It's palate cleanser.
Oh, okay.
So for this one, we have here the elote. Elote is the Mexican grilled corn. Specifically, we're using baby corn. If you notice, it's a slightly bigger baby corn than what you will see in the market because this was grown and harvested from a little town in Cordilleran region called Ambiong in La Trinidad, specifically just for our restaurant. So we specified to grow it this way because there is a certain taste note and sweetness on this stage of the growing process of the corn. So this baby corn is cooked over wood fire much like an elote. It is glazed with chipotle and smoked Baguio strawberries, crusted with puffed quinoa to make it look as if it's still on its natural form. It's our way of respecting the ingredient because basically it's parang we have a connection with it because we grew it ourselves. That's why we had to do it this way. And then the other one, another Filipino and Mexican crossover, we call it Ilocos Empanada Birria. I would assume we all know what Ilocos Empanada is. It's the Filipino version of empanada, basically. Birria taco, on the other hand, is a variety of taco that is always served with a consomme. So it's a side-by-side thing between a taco and a soup, wherein you usually dip the taco in a broth where the protein was cooked. That's a birria taco. So we took that inspiration for this dish. We made a tortilla out of mustasa, which is a mustard leaf. We made Ilocos longanisa. It is homemade. It's inside. There's green papaya and quesillo cheese. And to mimic the egg on the empanada, we made salted egg mousse. That is the one on the spoon. So what you're gonna do, you're gonna take the spoon, you're gonna spread it on top of the empanada before dipping it into the consomme, just like a birria taco. So the consomme was simmered for a few hours with a bunch of Mexican chilies that we get all the way from Mexico. There's guajillo, ancho, morita, pasilla, just to name a few. There's also hoja aguacate in the mix, which is the counterpart of dahon ng laurel in Filipino cuisine, but it's made out of avocado. So it's avocado leaf. There's also Mexican achiote and the trimmings of pork and beef from the entire menu. So the broth is very flavorful. So I would start with the elote because this is definitely going to complement the flavors of birria taco.
Okay.
Thank you.
Is this spicy?
Smoky.
Perfect.
Thank you.
So much, Chef.
Okay, so we have here our first main course. So this is silog. So silog in Filipino cuisine is an all-day breakfast plate out of rice, protein, egg, and pickle. So for our version, we're using black rice from Kalinga. And it is cooked over wood fire. Literal, sinangag namin siya over wood fire by putting it on a strainer. So every butil or every grain of the rice is being kissed by the fire. So there's a lot of fire and smoke flavor on this dish. So when you make silog, you make sinangag, right? So instead of sauteing garlic, we made calamari sofrito. So we chopped up a lot of squid, caramelized it. So there's a lot of calamari tucked within the rice. We basically replaced the bawang on the sinangag with literally calamari. And then there's an achara out of zucchini, carrots, onions. There's ebiko, bonito. And then to mimic the garlic bits on your sinangag, we made dried pusit powder, dried squid powder, which are the tiny brown bits that you will see on top of the rice. And then there's egg yolk confit. So it's basically egg cooked on controlled temperature. So it's very runny, malasado siya, but it's fully cooked. And then the surprise is that there's a wood-fired baby squid stuffed with a force meat of prawn, crab fat, and chives hidden there somewhere. So yeah, enjoy. Thank you. Alright, this is our version of kare-kare. So for this one, we're using kurobota pork. So it's a wagyu of pork, Japanese black pig. And we took the discipline of grilling in the Bicol region, which we call dinarang. So the kurobota pork was literally searing against a burning wood without anything in between. So it's literally being kissed by the fire from a burning wood to infuse a lot of smoke flavor and to sear the meat while retaining the juices inside. So it's very tender. So what's in the middle is flor de calabaza with roasted squash. There's almonds and peanuts to mimic the flavors of kare-kare. There's a paste on top called salsa exo. Basically, it's a variety of salsa that is made with fermented shrimp to match the Filipino bagoong. There's also alige and a bunch of Mexican chilies on the mix. And then there is smoked tripe, pinusukang tuwalya on top to finish it off. There's squash blossoms and Dante shoots. So yeah,
So good.
I would just slice through the meat and then mix everything. It's very important for you to mix the puree and the paste together so it's gonna taste like kare-kare. Thank you.
Thank you, chef.
How's your meal by far?
So far, so man.
So for this dessert, we're gonna use our hands.
No problem, man.
Alright, so we have here 3 desserts. First, we're gonna start with what's on the spoon. It's our version of champorado. Champorado is a Filipino chocolate porridge. Yeah, we are weird like that. We eat porridge, we eat rice with chocolate. So for this one, we made palitaw. Palitaw is much like a mochi. So it's made out of tapioca. It's covered in charged chocolate, more like chocolate espuma. Then to replace the rice on the chocolate porridge, there's rice krispies or pinipig in Filipino cuisine. And then it is finished off with what we call goldfish. Basically, it's dilis or anchovy with 18K gold powder. So it's like more like dilis but bougie or dilis na social. Then the ball is actually inspired by sundot kolangot. If you're familiar with this sundot kolangot Filipino delicacy that is covered in wood with kalamay inside, made out of coconut and sugar, that is what it is basically. So it's kalamay covered in chocolate. Very straightforward. Then the other one,
But we can eat the shell.
yes. Then the other one is inspired by the Filipino street dessert out of caramelized bananas in skewers. We call it banana Q. So for this one, we call it banana cutie because it's relatively smaller. So it's made out of banana sponge, banana mousse, banana chips covered in chocolate. So I would start with the champorado, do the sundot kolangot after, and then finish off with banana cutie.
Thank you, chef.
Thank you. Enjoy.
It smells so fragrant. Yeah. Nitro popcorn.
Hi, so for your last course, this is our version of the Pinoy classic halo-halo. So inside there is a white chocolate makabuno mousse with ubi halaya, red bean puree, nata de coco, pandan sago, leche flan, and langka compote. And the one that I put is the milk that we put in halo-halo, but I made it an ice cream using a liquid nitrogen. And also on top there is a homemade barquillo. So you need to mix it all together like how we eat the halo-halo to enjoy the dish. Thank you guys.
Thank you very much.